So we have some news to go over regarding Jaire Alexander that came out a little bit earlier today. With the Packers now officially in the offseason, unfortunately, there are a lot of interviews being done with different Packers players earlier today. And I want to share this tweet here, which gives us some more information from Kelly Hallinan of NBC. She tweeted this earlier today. When Jaire Alexander was asked to speak with the media at locker room cleanout, he declined, saying he doesn't even know if he's going to be here next year. Said he didn't have anything good to say, so definitely wasn't going to talk. So Jaire, who has dealt with a lot of injuries the past couple seasons, unfortunately, once again, dealt with injuries this year, and then he had some more complications with the knee injury, had to get another surgery. So it's just been very unfortunate for him when it comes to these injuries. And so now the question is, what is going to happen with Jaire Alexander? Because when you look at the cap situation, it's not very pretty to release Jaire Alexander before June 1st. He would have an $18.1 million dead cap hit if he is released or traded before June 1st, which would only be $6.8 million of cap savings. If he was released after June 1st, it would be a $7.86 million dead cap hit if released or traded after June 1st, which would be $17 million of cap savings. And so for me, I do wonder, which side is potentially wanting to move on. Could it be both? Is Jaire frustrated with the Packers for some reason, or the Packers upset with Jaire? We never really know what's going on behind closed doors, but Jaire, to say that, he clearly thinks, whether it's himself or the Packers, opinion perspective, that there's a chance he's not going to be here. And so with Jaire, I still think when he is healthy, he is one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. The issue has been his inability to stay healthy. And so when you look at those cap savings if released or traded before June 1st, to only save $6.8 million in money to release him, even though he's dealt with injuries, I just don't love that idea. I just don't think there's that much gain for the Packers. You save $6.8 million. Because I still think if Jaire were to come back in 2025 and stay healthy for majority of the season, that would totally be worth it. That'd be better than having to carry $18 million on your cap with him no longer on the roster. Now, it does get a little more interesting for me personally if you look at the potentially being released or traded after June 1st, because then to have only a $7.86 million dead cap hit and then save $17 million on the cap, that's something where you say, okay, I think that could make sense. So I'm curious to see if that happens, but I think now with Jaire himself publicly saying that, I am more inclined to think that something could go down. I honestly, before I heard him say that, I know there's talk that people are thinking the Packers could move on. I just didn't think that, cutting him before June 1st to save $6.8 million, for me, I wouldn't do it. I don't think that's a smart move. So the Packers, I think, do have a lot of decisions to make this offseason, which we'll touch on this channel. But the corner room has honestly been pretty solid overall. The secondary this year has actually been very good for the most part. On the season, the Packers' passing defense is third in expected points added, EPA, allowed per play. And so they've played really good for the most part. And to see what the Packers did against Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, that was a standout performance by the Packers, their secondary. Overall, by the defense, it was a really, really great performance. And to hold A.J. Brown to one reception, that's like top-tier caliber play. And so there's going to be a lot of things to watch when it comes to the secondary. I think that the safety room is pretty loaded. Xavier McKinney, no doubt. And now Evan Williams playing as he's played. And I think with him being back, that definitely helped against the Eagles team. And when we do look at cornerback, because Jaire missed a lot of time this season, the Packers did have the ability to try out, different combinations. And it feels like the Packers, what they used a lot yesterday was Keyshawn Nixon on the outside, Carrington Valentine on the outside, and then Javon Bullard in the slot. And it worked out really well against the Eagles, who, their passing attack hasn't been the greatest this year. They've been pretty efficient. The Packers completely shut it down yesterday. And so, to do that in a playoff game, yes, I think the Packers, could make some moves at corner. Maybe if you move on from Jaire, you want to replenish that talent with potentially a higher draft pick. But do I think that's the Packers' biggest need? Not necessarily. I need to really think through this roster and see where I think the Packers, need to potentially add the most talent. But for the most part, the Packers secondary in my mind was very good in 2024 overall. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here with Jaire. If something goes down, he clearly didn't want to talk to the media. I would expect that he would be frustrated just because all these injuries happening. It has to be tough not to be able to go out there and play when you want to. So that is it for this one. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.